So it very much feels like they're changing up the origin in this one. In Reunion, we talk about the idea that the world was created from the idea. In this one, the world was created by fire. Yeah, whatever. In the end, that's not really important. What is important is seeing the primary village being destroyed by a corrupt Ogremon at the orders of the Digimon Emperor. However, Leomon steps in before any more Digi-Eggs can be smashed. So you may remember in Reunion, I was talking about this famous lunch scene, where it felt like the characters existed in their own space rather than existed in the adventure. Well, they tried to recapture that here by having the Digidestined, well, except for Joe, go to a spa. Once again, I think it captures the charm of that lunch. But there are just way too many shenanigans going on this time. We do find that Mr. Nishijima and Miss Okidera, the woman that dropped Mimi off in the last movie, are at the spa to watch over them. They are part of a small but elite team. The guys ask Mr. Nishijima about what they know about these infected Digimon. Unfortunately, Izzy knows just as much as they do. After the spa, they return to school where prep for the cultural festival is underway. Mimi volunteers for their class's event, and she comes up with a cheerleading cafe. Mimi and Mako meet up for lunch to discuss the outfits, with Mako making a breakthrough. Tai and Matt are still at odds, and Joe is hard at work with his studies. Another distortion field opens up, and a new task force is sent to deal with the corrupt Ogremon. Even with their specialized weapons, it's Leomon that once again comes in to save the day. With this, Mr. Nishijima says they have the situation under control. However, they will be a backup if things go wrong. Later, Ogremon appears again, with only Mimi and Mako able to get at him. While Izzy tells Mimi to wait for backup, she thinks she can take him. Palmon digivolves to Togemon, and the fight continues. In doing so, a news helicopter is taken down. Thankfully, nobody is killed, when Leomon comes in and lets the pair escape. Outside, Izzy gives Mimi a stern talking to. Because of her careless actions, the good name of Digimon she wanted to restore has been muddled even more. Mimi runs away in tears when the attention goes back to Joe. Tai sympathizes with Joe, as both don't want to fight and worry about the damage caused from said fight. On Joe's end, Gomamon is a little annoyed to be left out of the fight, but accepts Joe's decision. He even makes him a nice bowl of ramen. It's here that Joe breaks down. The main reason he's been hitting the books so hard is for an excuse. As Tai predicted, he didn't want to fight, but he also didn't want to be the arbitrator when a fight broke out among the Digidestined. Quick side note, I find it crazy we actually get to see Joe's parents this time. There is a vague mention of them when Myotismon takes over, but it's really his cousin that took their place for that saga. So it's pretty amazing to see that these people actually exist. At Izzy's office, Leomon shows up explaining little about the corruption. He says that the corruption came first, and then the field distortions. He even gets a moment to describe what he saw in Ogremon once he got corrupted. While Leomon's information is invaluable, it doesn't really point to any one conclusion, which Izzy goes through every single example that he can think of. At school, Mimi is beside herself as her friends talk down on Digimon and refuse to go for a cultural festival idea. She goes to Sora and Mako to tell them the bad news, but that's all she can get out before running away in tears again. Outside, she bumps into Joe. In chatting, they realize both are being selfish, but in completely different ways. Joe wants to be rid of the responsibilities of being a Digidestined and just live his own life, while Mimi wants all the responsibilities to feel useful. All of this is overheard by Kari. Back home, Joe finds Gomamon is gone, leaving a simple message. He is hiding out at Izzy's office, where he is welcomed as an extra pair of hands. Izzy then comes in, finding a mysterious email in Digicode. It says,
"Those who crave true power must seek the darkness, but move past it."
While this is going on, Joe is asking everybody if they have seen Gomamon. Izzy is about to respond when Gomamon urges him not to. Day of the cultural festival arrives, and a small security detail is sent to the school. None of them really had the heart to call off the event, but they want to be cautious all the same. The Digidestined do their own thing, with Mimi and Mako being the only ones in the cheerleading outfits. Izzy remains at the office, but after a text from Miss Okidera, he is drawn to see Mimi in person. While this is going on, the Digimon convince Leomon to take them to the cultural festivals, really pulling on the heartstrings. Without money, though, they can't buy any food, so they enroll in a cute but ugly contest. What I love about this scene is that the Digidestined obviously find out they are part of this contest. However, when Mekumon ends up winning, Matt is quite ticked off that Gabumon did not win the prize. With this, Joe makes it to the festival as fast as he can to talk to Gomamon. It turns out he left, as he knew Joe's want to not fight anymore. The issue is, Gomamon knows he still has to fight, so he left Joe out of this. They part ways when Mekumon is taken by the Digimon Emperor. Palmon, Gomamon, and Leomon go in for the rescue. The portal closes, but Izzy is able to tap into it. We see that Imperial Dramon is inside. Which to me, I feel like it implies that Davis became possessed rather than defeated like the last movie showed. While Palmon digivolves to Togemon, Gomamon is taking quite the beating. Kari then steps in, telling Joe the situation. He doesn't want to see his friend get killed, and with this love, digivolves to the Mega level, Vicamon. I remember before I actually had Digimon Try in my collection. A good friend of mine described it in two ways. First, it was the show I liked, but it was more adult. And the second was, the other Digidestined got to have their own Mega forms. Which, when I saw this for the first time, I was just like, what? Even though I knew it was coming, it was still very much exciting as a fan. Joe and Mimi share an understanding, and Togemon digivolves to Rosemon. Which, if there is a Digimon Smash or Pass challenge, I, as well as I'm sure many others, are putting Rosemon in the Smash category. With this, Imperial Dramon is defeated, and the Digimon Emperor gives up Mekumon. Leomon takes the three outside, with Mekumon being very hesitant to return the Mako. All of a sudden, Mako's Digivice goes corrupted, and Mekumon becomes even more powerful, killing Leomon. When I first saw this, I was very shocked by it. But now that I've seen a lot more Digimon, I realized that Leomon is basically the Sean Bean of the Digiverse. Whenever he shows up, he gets killed somehow. I would have fun and I would play like a little clip show of all the times that Leomon got killed, but that's some major spoilers for just really wanting to talk about these movies here. The possessed Mekumon then makes her way back to the portal, with Miss Okidera speculating she is the source of the corruptions. And there is no after-credit sequence with this one. I can definitely say, I rather enjoyed Determination a bit more than Reunion. It kind of goes to my basic mentality of either sequels or the classic 3-act structure. I always feel like the first one always has to suffer a fair bit because, first, you gotta get the characters together, and then you gotta throw them on an adventure to be able to bring them together. However, when you get to the second act, or the sequel, you should theoretically just jump right into the adventure. The characters have already known each other, they've already met, we already know who they are, so you can just jump right into it. And I very much feel that is the case here. Reunion set up a fair bit of story. We never really realized that there is this 9th Digidestined until the very end of the movie. And there's definitely hints that there is a much bigger story going on, but only hints, slight tastes. Here, we actually get a few morsels on our plate. Enough for us to feel satisfied, but not so much that we are full. And one of the other things I've started to notice as well It seems like, at least comparing these two movies, it's about pairs. So you'll notice that there's Matt and Ty there on the cover with Omnimon. Since they've already met before, their story is more about trying to reconnect after so many years. While here, it's the story about Joe and Mimi, and both of them have to overcome their selfishness to be able to reach the, I was about to say the ultimate level, but no, it'd be the mega level in this case. And that, I think, is the main reason that Rosemon and Vicamon were able to come out of this situation. And so I'm very curious to see how they're going to run with that with Confession. I do remember for sure that was a TK movie, but I'm not sure if there was another person that he was being paired with. And probably the last thing I have to say about Determination. So, with the spa scene, it felt like there was just a little too much of laying into the shenanigans, but that's something I can forgive. But what this movie did that would just carry through to all the other movies that very much annoyed me was the simplification of Agumon. It seems like in this movie, every line he is talking about food. This is not the character I fell in love with. Sure, he was a bit more on the simple side, but yet it felt like because he was simple, he was able to see things more clearly that people that thought more complicated would not be able to see. And I feel like that is very much exemplified with my favorite Agumon scene of him talking to Black War Greymon. Black War Greymon is the definition of overthinking it, while Agumon is just like, if you have a heart, you should use it. And if you don't like it, then, well, why don't you try something else? But no, they basically just turned Agumon into a, I was about to say a 2.0 version of Winnie the Pooh, but no, Winnie the Pooh had the same thing. Sure, he would be hungry for honey all the time, but there was wisdom in his simplicity, and now they've completely taken that away. I hope you'll join me next time for Confession. As I mentioned, I remember liking this one a lot, even if it just completely wrecked my emotions. I may also just do a little bit of speculation. I was talking about how the movies dealt with pairs. So if you look closely, you can see TK and you can see Izzy. I'm going to guess he is the one that is going to be paired up with TK in the next adventure. I hope you will join me then.